First Contact and Revelation. The massive holographic display at the center of United Earth Defense Command lit up with thousands of red dots, each representing an unknown vessel that had just emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Admiral James Sullivan stood rigid, his weathered face illuminated by the ominous glow of the tactical display. After 30 years of service, he had always known this day would come. Humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. What he hadn't expected was for it to be an invasion fleet. "Status report," he barked, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, head of the Quantum Detection Array, stepped forward. Her dark eyes were fixed on the streaming data flowing across her tablet. "The fleet emerged approximately 6 minutes ago, Admiral. We're counting over 3,000 vessels, ranging from frigate to dreadnought class. Based on their energy signatures, their technology appears to be at least several centuries ahead of ours." Sullivan's jaw tightened. Humanity had prepared for this possibility, but the sheer scale of the approaching armada made most of their defensive plans obsolete. Most, but not all. "Get me Director Chen at Project Hurricane. Priority Alpha," he ordered, using his command key to activate the quantum encrypted channel. The room fell silent as the connection established, and the holographic image of Director Sarah Chen materialized in the command center. "Admiral Sullivan." Chen greeted, her expression grim. "I assume this is about our visitors." "You assume correctly, Director. How close is the project to deployment?" Chen's image flickered as she pulled up her own data displays. "The HMS Tempest is at 89% completion. We've successfully tested the gravitational manipulation systems in controlled conditions, but we haven't attempted full storm generation yet. You have 48 hours to get it operational," Sullivan stated flatly. "The fate of Earth may depend on it." Chen's eyes widened slightly, but she maintained her composure. "Understood, Admiral. But you should know. There's a reason we call it the Hurricane-Class Battleship. Once we activate the full system, we're not just talking about a weapon. We're talking about weaponizing the fundamental forces of nature itself." Sullivan nodded grimly. "Explain it to me while your team prepares for emergency deployment." Chen's hologram walked through the command center, manipulating the tactical display with practiced ease. Project Hurricane was born from a simple observation. The most powerful forces in nature aren't explosions or kinetic impacts. They're weather systems. A hurricane can release more energy in 10 minutes than all of humanity's nuclear weapons combined. She pulled up the schematics of the HMS Tempest, a massive vessel unlike anything ever built by human hands. Its hull was composed of overlapping layers of gravitational field generators, designed to create and control artificial weather patterns, even in the vacuum of space. "The Tempest doesn't just fight," Chen continued, her voice filled with both pride and apprehension. "It creates and controls space-time distortions that mimic atmospheric weather patterns. We can generate hurricane-force gravitational waves, electromagnetic storms, and quantum turbulence fields that can tear apart anything caught within them." Sullivan watched as the simulation played out, showing the theoretical capabilities of the vessel. "And you're certain it will work against their level of technology?" "That's the beauty of it, Admiral," Chen replied, a slight smile crossing her face. "The more advanced their ships are, the more vulnerable they'll be to our storms. High-energy systems are inherently susceptible to gravitational disruption. Their sophisticated shields and weapons will actually work against them." The Admiral turned to face the tactical display, studying the approaching alien fleet. "How many ships can you have ready in 48 hours? The Tempest for certain. The Cyclone and Typhoon are both at around 70% completion. With emergency protocols and round-the-clock work, we might have all three." "Do it," Sullivan ordered. "And Director Chen, choose your crews carefully. We're about to rewrite the rules of space warfare." As Chen's hologram disappeared, Sullivan turned to address the command center. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to demonstrate to our uninvited guests why it's unwise to underestimate humanity. Begin evacuation protocols for all major cities and initiate Operation Dark Sky. We have 48 hours to prepare our response. The command center erupted into controlled chaos as orders were relayed and emergency protocols activated. Outside, the sky began to darken as massive shield generators spun up, preparing to protect Earth's atmosphere from what was to come. In her lab beneath the Pacific Ocean, Sarah Chen looked at the prototype Hurricane-Class Battleship through reinforced windows. The Tempest hung suspended in its massive construction bay, its intricate hull gleaming under the harsh industrial lighting. Teams of engineers and technicians swarmed around it like ants, rushing to complete the final systems. "Begin primary power-up sequence," she ordered, her voice carrying across the facility's communication network. "It's time to show the galaxy that humanity isn't as primitive as they might think." The Tempest core began to pulse with a soft blue light, the gravitational field generators spinning up for the first time at full power. In 48 hours, humanity would either prove itself ready for the cosmic stage or face extinction. Chen was determined to ensure it would be the former. The birth of the storm. The HMS Tempest's construction bay buzzed with frantic activity as engineers and technicians worked around the clock. Director Sarah Chen hadn't left the facility in 36 hours, surviving on synthetic caffeine and pure determination. She stood on the main observation deck, watching as the final gravitational field generators were calibrated and brought online. "Power grid at 98% capacity," reported Dr. Marcus Wong, the ship's lead systems engineer. "Core containment fields are stable. We're ready to begin crew integration testing." Chen nodded, her eyes fixed on the massive vessel before them. The Tempest's hull seemed to shimmer under the harsh industrial lighting, its overlapping plates designed to channel and amplify gravitational forces in ways that defied conventional physics. At nearly 2 kilometers in length, it dwarfed every other ship humanity had ever built. "Bring in the crew," she ordered, turning to face the assembled team leaders. "We have 12 hours left before the Admiral expects us to be combat ready." The selected crew members had been chosen not just for their technical expertise, but for their ability to think creatively under pressure. Leading them was Captain Maya Patel, a former storm chaser turned Space Force commander whose intuitive understanding of weather patterns made her the perfect choice to command humanity's first Hurricane-Class Battleship. Captain Patel entered the command center, her uniform crisp despite the chaos around her. "Director Chen, my crew is ready for integration testing. Though I must admit, flying a ship that creates artificial hurricanes wasn't covered in any of my training." Chen managed a tired smile. "That's exactly why you were chosen, Captain. We don't need someone who follows a manual. We need someone who understands the raw power of nature itself." The next several hours were a blur of systems checks, emergency drills, and power calibrations. The Tempest's unique design required its crew to think in 4 dimensions, managing not just the ship's movement and weapons, but the complex gravitational fields that would generate its signature storms. "Beginning final power-up sequence," Wong announced, his fingers dancing across the control panel. "All hands to stations for initial storm generation test." The ship's massive engines hummed to life. Their deep resonance felt more than heard throughout the facility. Captain Patel took her position on the bridge, her crew strapped into stations specifically designed to withstand the gravitational forces they would be generating. "Remember," Chen's voice came through the ship's communication system, "start small. We're testing the containment fields, not trying to create a supernova." Patel nodded, her hands hovering over the controls. "Initiating gravitational field manipulation, starting with a Class 1 distortion." The space around the Tempest began to ripple as the ship's generators spun up. Invisible forces twisted and warped, creating a localized distortion in space-time itself. Monitoring stations throughout the facility tracked the growing anomaly with a mixture of awe and trepidation. "Field stability at 97%, Wong reported. "Containment holding. Increasing power to 40%. The distortion grew, taking on the characteristic spiral pattern of a hurricane. But unlike its atmospheric cousins, this storm was composed of pure gravitational energy, capable of tearing apart anything caught in its embrace. Small pieces of debris in the construction bay began to orbit the distortion, drawn into perfect concentric circles by the artificial gravity well. "This is incredible," Patel breathed, watching as her controls responded to the slightest adjustment. "The ship isn't just creating the storm, it's becoming one with it. The gravitational fields are extending our sensor range, giving us a level of spatial awareness I've never experienced before." Chen watched the readings with growing satisfaction. The Tempest was performing even better than their simulations had predicted. But there was no time to celebrate. They needed 2 more ships combat-ready in less than 10 hours. "Captain Patel, power down the storm system and prepare for emergency deployment," she ordered. "I need to check on the cyclone and typhoon's progress." As the gravitational distortion dissipated, Chen made her way to the adjacent construction bays, where the other 2 Hurricane-class ships were undergoing final assembly. The Cyclone was nearly complete, its systems already coming online for preliminary testing. The Typhoon lagged slightly behind, but was rapidly catching up thanks to the round-the-clock effort of its construction teams. Admiral Sullivan's hologram appeared beside her as she reviewed the progress reports. "Director Chen, the alien fleet has crossed Jupiter's orbit. Their current trajectory and speed suggest they'll reach Earth in 18 hours. Please tell me you have good news." "The Tempest is ready for combat deployment," she reported. "The Cyclone will be operational in 6 hours, and the Typhoon shortly after that. But Admiral, there's something else you should know. During our tests, we discovered these ships are more than just weapons. They're giving us entirely new ways to perceive and interact with space itself." Sullivan's hologram flickered as he processed this information. "Meaning? Meaning we might not just survive this encounter, Admiral. We might revolutionize humanity's understanding of the universe in the process." Chen paused, watching as another section of the Cyclone's hull was locked into place. "Though I suspect our visitors might not appreciate the scientific significance of their impending defeat. Just make sure those ships are ready, Director. Humanity's survival takes priority over scientific discovery." As Sullivan's hologram faded, Chen allowed herself a moment of reflection. In less than a day, these ships would either prove to be humanity's salvation or witness its last stand. Either way, the galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology, but its ability to turn the fundamental forces of nature itself into a weapon. Eye of the Hurricane. The alien fleet filled the view screen of the HMS Tempest's bridge, thousands of ships arranged in perfect geometric formations that spoke of centuries of military tradition. Captain Maya Patel stood at her command station, watching as the massive armada approached Mars orbit. Behind her, the crews of all 3 Hurricane-class ships waited in tense silence for the order to engage. "All ships reporting ready, Captain," her XO, Commander James Rodriguez, announced. "The Cyclone and Typhoon are in position for synchronized storm generation." Patel nodded, her fingers ghosting over the gravitational control interface. "Connect me to Admiral Sullivan." The Admiral's hologram appeared on the bridge, his expression grave. "Captain Patel, our attempts at communication have been met with silence. The alien fleet has accelerated and will reach optimal weapons range in 17 minutes. You are authorized to demonstrate humanity's capabilities." "Understood, Admiral." Patel turned to her crew. "All hands, battle stations, initiate Operation Maelstrom." The 3 Hurricane-class ships moved into triangle formation, their massive hulls already beginning to ripple with gravitational distortions. On the Tempest's bridge, Lieutenant Sarah Wong's hands flew across the sensor controls. "Alien fleet is launching fighter screens. Energy readings suggest their weapons are charging." "They still think this is going to be a conventional battle," Patel observed. "Let's show them why that's a mistake. All ships begin storm generation. Target the center of their formation." The space between the 3 human vessels began to twist and distort as their gravitational generators spun up to full power. The overlapping fields created patterns of interference that grew and strengthened, forming what looked like a massive spiral of bent light and warped space. Storm system achieving coherence, Rodriguez reported. Field strength at 60% and climbing. The alien fleet's advance faltered as their sensors detected the growing anomaly. Their perfect formation began to waver as the leading edge of ships encountered the outer bands of the artificial hurricane. "They're trying to communicate now," Wong announced, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. "Multiple channels. Put them through," Paddle ordered. A harsh, mechanical translation filled the bridge. "Unknown vessels, you are violating protected space. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in your immediate destruction." Paddle's response was to increase power to the storm generators. The gravitational hurricane expanded rapidly, its outer bands now catching dozens of alien ships in their grip. The effect was immediate and devastating. The alien vessels, for all their advanced technology, found themselves being pulled into uncontrollable spirals. Their energy shields, designed to deflect conventional weapons, only served to create additional gravitational interference that strengthened the storm's effects. Several smaller ships were torn apart as conflicting gravitational forces stressed their hulls beyond breaking point. "Storm system at maximum power," Rodriguez announced. "Field integrity holding at 98%. The alien fleet's response was predictable. They opened fire. Thousands of energy weapons discharged simultaneously, filling space with a dazzling display of destructive power. But the hurricane's gravitational distortions bent and twisted their attacks, causing most to miss wildly or be drawn into the storm itself. "They don't understand," Patel murmured, watching as the alien formation dissolved into chaos. "They're fighting this like it's a normal space battle. Increase storm rotation by 30%. Let's show them what these ships can really do." The 3 Hurricane-class vessels began to move in concert, their precisely calculated maneuvers altering the storm's structure. The gravitational vortex transformed from a simple spiral into a complex, multi-layered system of intersecting gravity wells. Alien ships caught in the effect found themselves pulled in multiple directions simultaneously. "Their larger vessels are attempting to power through the storm," Wong reported. "Their engines are at maximum." Patel allowed herself a small smile. "That's exactly what we wanted. Activate secondary field generators. Create a pressure gradient." The storm's structure changed again, now mimicking the pressure differentials found in atmospheric hurricanes. The effect on the alien ships was catastrophic. Those that had been fighting against the pull suddenly found themselves accelerated to dangerous velocities as gravitational pressures shifted unpredictably. "Multiple enemy vessels experiencing critical hull stress," Rodriguez announced. "Their formation is completely broken. They're attempting to retreat." But retreat wasn't as simple as reversing course. The hurricane had grown to encompass a massive volume of space, its gravitational effects creating a maze of deadly forces that the alien ships had to navigate to escape. "Admiral," Paddle reported, "the enemy fleet is in disarray. Should we pursue?" Sullivan's hologram studied the tactical display. "Negative, Captain. Hold position and maintain the storm. Let them retreat, and let them tell others what happened here today." The alien fleet's withdrawal was chaotic and costly. Dozens of ships were torn apart trying to escape the hurricane's grasp, while others collided in their panic to flee. When the last surviving vessel finally cleared the storm's edge, they didn't pause to regroup. They accelerated directly away from Earth at maximum speed. As the hurricane began to dissipate, Patil turned to her crew. "Well done, everyone. But stay alert. Something tells me this was just the first test. They'll be back, and next time they'll know what they're facing." Director Chen's voice came through the command channel. "Excellent work, Captain. The storm's performance exceeded our highest expectations. But you're right, this was just the beginning. We need to start construction on more Hurricane-class ships immediately." The bridge crew watched as the last traces of the gravitational storm faded away, leaving behind a debris field of destroyed alien vessels as testament to humanity's unexpected defense. They had won this battle, but the war was far from over. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity wasn't just capable of surviving. They were capable of harnessing the very forces of nature as weapons. Perfect storm. 3 months after humanity's first victory, Earth's orbital shipyards hummed with activity. 8 new Hurricane-class vessels neared completion, their hulls gleaming under the construction lights. In her new office aboard the orbital command station, Director Chen reviewed the latest intelligence reports with growing concern. "They're adapting faster than we anticipated," she told Admiral Sullivan's hologram. "The scout drones show they're modifying their shields to create localized anti-gravitational fields." Sullivan's expression remained stoic. "Will it be enough to counter our storms?" "No," Chen replied, pulling up simulation data. "But it means we'll need to evolve our tactics." Captain Patel has been running combat drills with the new ships, developing something she calls convergence warfare. The Admiral's hologram leaned forward. "Explain." Before Chen could respond, emergency alerts flashed across every screen. Lieutenant Wang's voice came through the command channel. "Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. It's them. And they've brought reinforcements." The alien fleet that emerged from hyperspace dwarfed their previous force. Over 10,000 ships arranged in a new formation designed to resist gravitational interference. At their center, a massive vessel unlike anything humanity had seen before dominated the tactical display. "All Hurricane-class vessels, battle stations," Admiral Sullivan ordered. "Director Chen, I hope Captain Patel's new tactics are ready for field testing." Aboard the HMS Tempest, Captain Patel stood at her command station, now confident and composed where months ago she had been uncertain. "All ships, assume Thunderhead formation. Prepare to execute Protocol Omega Storm." 11 Hurricane-class battleships moved into position, arranging themselves in a 3-dimensional pattern that looked chaotic to the untrained eye, but followed precise mathematical principles. The alien fleet approached cautiously, their modified shields causing their ships to shimmer with anti-gravitational energy. "They think they've solved the problem," Patel observed. "They don't realize we've only shown them the basics. Begin primary storm generation, full spectrum deployment." Instead of creating a single massive hurricane, each human ship generated its own smaller storm system. The gravitational distortion spread out like a web, creating a complex network of overlapping fields that filled the space between Earth and the approaching armada. "Enemy fleet is entering the outer boundary," Rodriguez reported. "Their anti-grav shields are holding. For now." "Good," Patel smiled. Phase 2. Initiate convergence sequence. The human ships began to move in precise patterns, their individual storms starting to interact and combine in ways that created new, more complex gravitational phenomena. The space between the fleets became a maze of twisted light and warped reality. "Their shields are adapting," Wang announced, "but their power consumption is off the charts. They can't maintain this level of protection for long." The alien fleet's massive flagship fired first, launching a barrage of energy weapons that could have vaporized a small moon. But the gravitational web caught the attacks, bending and redirecting them through the storm systems. Some of the energy blasts were sent right back at the alien vessels, while others were caught in gravitational eddies that transformed them into swirling vortexes of destructive power. "Now," Patel ordered, "collapse the convergence points." The Hurricane-class ships executed a series of precise maneuvers, causing their individual storm systems to suddenly merge and combine. The result was catastrophic for the alien fleet. Ships that had been straining their shields against multiple smaller gravitational forces suddenly found themselves caught between rapidly collapsing gravity wells. The alien formation shattered as vessels were crushed by overlapping gravitational forces or torn apart by sudden changes in spatial pressure. Their anti-gravitational shields, designed to counter single-direction forces, proved useless against the multi-vector assault. Their flagship is attempting something, Wong warned. Massive energy buildup detected. The alien command ship's hull began to glow with gathered power, preparing to unleash what appeared to be their ultimate weapon. But Paddle had anticipated this. All ships, execute Protocol Omega Storm. Final phase, she commanded. Create the eye. The 11 Hurricane-class vessels moved into their final formation, their combined gravitational storms coalescing into a perfect spiral around the alien flagship. As the massive vessel prepared to fire, it found itself at the center of an artificial gravitational singularity. Their weapon is overloading, Rodriguez reported. The gravitational forces are causing their energy containment to fail. All ships, maximum range, Paddle ordered. Let them learn the price of underestimating humanity. The alien flagship's accumulated energy, trapped by the gravitational forces surrounding it, had nowhere to go but inward. The resulting explosion was contained and amplified by the storm system, creating a devastating cascade that consumed nearly a third of the remaining alien fleet. As the light from the explosion faded, the surviving alien vessels broke formation and fled, their retreat even more chaotic than their first defeat. But this time, they left behind a clear message in human language. We acknowledge your sovereignty. Earth's space will be marked as prohibited territory in all galactic charts. The storms are yours. Admiral Sullivan's hologram appeared on the Tempest's bridge. Outstanding work, Captain. But why do I feel like you held something back? Paddle's expression remained professional, but there was a glint in her eye. Because we did, Admiral. What they saw today wasn't even close to the full capabilities we've developed. The true power of these ships isn't in the storms they create. It's in how we can shape and control the fundamental forces of space itself. Keep those capabilities in reserve, Sullivan ordered. Something tells me we haven't seen the last of our visitors. Humanity just announced its presence on the galactic stage in a way no one can ignore. As the Hurricane-class fleet regrouped, their storm systems powering down, the debris of the alien armada drifted through space, a warning to any who might think Earth was an easy target. Humanity had not only survived its first major interstellar conflict, but had revolutionized space warfare in the process. The age of the storm had begun. After the storm. 1 year after the Battle of Earth, the Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Captain Maya Patel stepped onto the speaking platform. The massive hall was filled with representatives from hundreds of spacefaring civilizations, all gathered to witness humanity's formal introduction to galactic society. Behind her, visible through the chamber's transparent dome, a Hurricane-class battleship hung in high orbit, its hull catching the light of alien suns. Distinguished representatives, Paddle began, her voice carrying across the chamber. 1 year ago, humanity faced extinction. Instead, we discovered something remarkable about ourselves. Our greatest strength isn't in copying the technologies of others, but in finding new ways to understand and harness the fundamental forces of nature itself. The chamber's holographic displays activated, showing footage from the battles that had made humanity famous across the galaxy. The sight of gravitational storms tearing apart what had once been considered invincible warships caused a ripple of murmurs through the assembled delegates. In her laboratory aboard the new Earth Defense Station, Director Chen watched the broadcast while overseeing the construction of the latest generation of Hurricane-class vessels. The technology had evolved far beyond its military origins. The same gravitational control systems that could create devastating storms were now being adapted for peaceful purposes, terraforming hostile planets, clearing space debris, and even creating stable wormholes for faster-than-light travel. The Storm-class science vessel is ready for its first test, Dr. Wong reported, having transferred from the Tempest to lead the research division. We're confident we can use controlled gravitational fields to study the interior of gas giants without disturbing their natural processes. Chen nodded, but her attention was drawn to another screen showing Admiral Sullivan in conference with the newly formed Galactic Defense Council. The Admiral was explaining humanity's proposal for an interstellar rapid response force, equipped with Hurricane-class ships, ready to protect any world from aggressive expansion or invasion. Back in the council chamber, Paddle continued her address. Humanity doesn't seek dominion over the stars. We seek understanding, cooperation, and mutual protection. The power we've discovered isn't meant to conquer. It's meant to preserve and explore. The chamber's main display shifted to show the latest breakthrough. A massive Hurricane-class vessel using its gravitational control systems to stabilize a dying star, preventing it from going supernova and saving billions of lives on nearby worlds. The same technology that had once torn apart an invasion fleet was now extending the life of entire solar systems. We offer our knowledge and capabilities to the galaxy, Paddle declared, not as weapons, but as tools for advancement. The storms we command can destroy, yes, but they can also create, protect, and reveal the deepest mysteries of space itself. In orbit above Earth, Commander Rodriguez, now captain of his own Hurricane-class ship, the HMS Aurora, conducted training exercises with crews from a dozen alien worlds. The former adversaries who had once faced humanity in battle were now eager students, learning not just how to operate the ships, but how to understand the delicate balance of forces that made their power possible. The key isn't in the technology, he explained to his diverse group of trainees. It's in learning to think like the storm itself, fluid, adaptive, and in harmony with the natural forces around us. The Galactic media called it the Storm Revolution, a fundamental shift in how civilizations approached space travel, defense, and environmental manipulation. Humanity's integration into galactic society happened faster than anyone had predicted, driven by their unique perspective and innovative applications of their technology. At a research outpost near the galactic core, the HMS Tempest, now redesignated as a deep space exploration vessel, made another groundbreaking discovery. Its gravitational sensors, refined far beyond their original military purpose, detected evidence of artificial structures in higher dimensions, signs of civilizations that had transcended normal spacetime itself. We're not just looking at new technologies anymore, Chen explained to the Galactic Science Council. We're opening doors to entirely new realms of possibility. The storms showed us that space itself is more flexible, more alive than we ever imagined. We're just beginning to understand what that means. As Paddle concluded her address to the Galactic Council, she thought back to that first desperate battle above Earth. We came to the stars late by your standards, she acknowledged. But we brought with us a new way of seeing the universe. The storms taught us that power isn't about domination. It's about understanding and working with the forces that shape reality itself. The council chamber erupted in applause as humanity was formally welcomed into the galactic community. The vote was unanimous. Earth would become the center for the new Galactic Storm Control and Research Institute, dedicated to exploring and developing peaceful applications of their revolutionary technology. Admiral Sullivan, watching from Earth, allowed himself a rare smile. You know, he said to Chen's hologram, when we first developed the Hurricane-class ships, I thought we were creating the ultimate weapon. Instead, we created the ultimate tool for exploration and understanding. Chen nodded, her attention already on the next generation of developments. The storms were never just weapons, Admiral. They were a key to understanding how the universe really works. And we've only just started turning it. Above Earth, the Hurricane-class fleet stood guard, their sleek hulls containing the power to both protect and explore. They were no longer just humanity's shields. They had become beacons of innovation and progress for the entire galaxy. The storms that had saved Earth from destruction had opened a path to the stars themselves, proving that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its ability to fight, but in its capacity to transform challenges into opportunities for growth and understanding. As the sun set on this new era, the storms continued their watch, ready to face whatever mysteries or challenges the universe might present. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not through conquest or submission, but by showing the galaxy a new way to view the very fabric of space-time itself. The age of the storm had matured into an age of discovery, and the journey was just beginning.